What comes to mind when you think about the retro years? Maybe it's a place or time in your past. Maybe it's like a particular console generation that you grew up with. Whatever it is, I imagine that it's a place that you look back on fondly and wish that you could go back to, or at least recapture the way it felt when times were simpler, and maybe the biggest worry that you had was whether or not your AA batteries were going to last in your Game Boy, or if you're going to have to sneak in and steal some out of Dad's TV remote. Wherever your mind goes, it's probably somewhere in the past, in days long left behind. But what if it didn't have to be that way? What if the retro years that we all long to return to were happening right now? We just had to recognize them. See, a wise man once said, "I wish there was a way to know that you were in the good old days before you left them." Maybe you're like me, but often when I need a place to retreat to just relax, reset, blow off some steam, often it's gaming. And most of the time it's actually retro gaming, because there's something about those games that resonates a little bit deeper for me. When I fire up something like a Super Mario 2 or Super Metroid or even Bionic Commando on the Game Boy, there's something that resonates deeper for me. It's almost like a time machine that takes me back to when times were simpler. And sometimes it's the littlest details that hit the hardest. It's like the click of the cartridge going in, or like when you remember that smell of being in a Blockbuster on a Friday night and you're just begging your parents, like, just one more rental. Those moments live rent-free in our heads because it was more than just about the games. It meant freedom. And here's the deal. None of it was perfect, okay? Like, as kids growing up, we all had stuff. You know, like I have vivid memories of sitting with my stepbrother, basking in the glow of our huge CRT TV, playing Gauntlet 2 and having a great time, while our parents were fighting right outside the door. None of it was perfect, but I think maybe part of it was that back then, all of the problems and the weight of the world felt like it was out there, rather than it feeling like it's right here. And I think it was because gaming, it gave us space. It gave us our own little world that we could control amongst all the chaos. And I think as adults, as parents, spouses, man, it's so much harder to find that space, that peace in the chaos. We've got notifications, we've got bills, we've got schedules. I think as adults, we carry so much. And sometimes we just need simpler times. I think we need more joy. So maybe when we reminisce, maybe it's because sometimes you need to look back in order to know how to move forward. And when we talk about that joy, I see it when I'll hand one of my kids a controller and they're playing a Mario game that I played 30 years ago, and the graphics don't impress them, but the laughter does. Those moments of, "Dad, watch this," or when I show them a secret that they didn't know about, there's something special about that. And I think what I'm starting to see is that the retro years aren't gone. They're just evolving a little bit. And you know what I miss the most sometimes? Is the couch co-op. Now, some of us might have been a little bit too young to remember it or to have experienced it fully, but multiplayer was fundamentally different back in the day. I mean, it was all of your buddies jockeying for the best spot on the couch. Somebody inevitably had to sit on the floor. The controller cables are getting all tangled up. Like, it was just awesome. There was no voice chat. There was no lag. It was just you and your buddies laughing and talking trash, and it was just different. And for me, the two games, when I think about multiplayer and couch co-op, the two games that stand out to me, and actually I'd love to hear what yours are, put them in the comments below, but for me, it was Star Fox 64. I loved just the multiplayer dogfighting, like sometimes 3v1, dude, and I'm just schooling the neighborhood. It was so awesome. And then definitely GoldenEye. And I don't know about you, but for me, man, I was all about those rockets only rounds, because it's just pure and utter chaos. Everybody's having a great time, everybody's laughing, people are screaming, and it was just beautiful. And I think it was one of those experiences that you can only have with others, with community. And it wasn't just about the games, it was the ritual of it all. It was the pizza, it was the arguments about who gets to be player one, it was the sleepovers that went way too late. And back then, we didn't think about it as nostalgia. We were just living. And I think that's a huge part of what made the retro years so special. It was the community that we built along the way. We would win together, we would lose together, but at the end of the day, we didn't do it alone. And so through all of this, I think what I'm starting to see is that the retro years weren't about a specific time or a specific place, but I think it was more a way of being. It was a youthful sense of wonder in the midst of simpler times spent with community. And for many of us, I think the tie that binds is that it was all centered around these video games that raised us. And so I think that's the point of this channel, is to keep that feeling alive. To remind ourselves that nostalgia is not about living in the past, but bringing the best part of those things forward. Whether it's a new handheld console that you got, a Saturday morning memory, or a shared laugh in a comment thread, I believe that we can still build that kind of community today. So what is the retro years? Well, I think it's a place where community, simpler times, and joy are in abundance. It's right here, and it's just the beginning. These are the retro years. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if it resonated with you, I hope you'll come join our Discord. The link is in the description below, and it's a great community full of parents, spouses, and just grown-ups who are looking for a way to make gaming fit in their busy lives. It's a really cool community. I hope you'll come join us, and I hope that you'll check out this other video I did. It's all about how handheld gaming was the game changer for me, and maybe it can be for you too. So again, thanks for watching, thanks for hanging out with me, and remember, growing up doesn't mean game over. I'll see you soon.